Hi, loves. Do you ever wish that you came with an instruction manual? Or maybe you wish your boyfriend had one, or your husband, or your kid, or your best friend, or your mom or dad? It'd be so great, right? Well, I'm here to give you that instruction manual by way of human design. My name is Rebecca Davila, the Full Heart Coach. I use human design in my Full Heart course to guide people back to their hearts. I believe that we're all born perfect and beautiful, and then we grow up, and well-meaning adults and society just puts conditioning and nonsense in our way, and that's what affects us. So my job is to help you identify the nonsense and the old stories, move them out of the way so that you can fill your heart with so much love that it overflows. Because if everybody could make the choice to fill their own heart so full, then we could heal the world one full heart at a time. So let's get on to talking about human design and how this can help you fill your heart. Human design is a combination of a few ancient wisdoms. We have the I Ching, we have astrology, we have the Kabbalah, tree of life, we have the chakra system, we have some physics in there, and we have some biology in there. It all combines together. It's based on your date, time, and place of birth, just like astrology. When you input that information, then it spits out a funky looking chart that is basically your soul's blueprint. It's pretty epic. So we're going to go through the major parts of that chart. Human design does go incredibly deep into some very specific details, but we don't have time to get into all of that right now. So I'm going to start you with the major basics so that you can look at your chart and get a bit of an understanding of what's going on there, okay? So at the high level, we have the types. We have 5 different types. There is an argument inside of human design that there's only 4 types. Just letting you know that so that you know it's a thing in case somebody calls you out on it later. We're not going to get into it here. But we have generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. Generators and manifesting generators together make up 70% of the population. They are the only types with the sacral center defined. And this is the one where people get weird about, where they say that mani-gens are just a type of generators and that really it's just all generators. Again, semantics we're not going to get into, just letting you know. So with the generator, you're here to really just be lit up by life, okay? In the perfect generator world, you wake up with a tank full of gas, you go out and you just do all the things that you love to do. And then by the end of the day, you're falling to bed exhausted because you have spent all your energy on all these amazing, beautiful things that you love. When you are in alignment and you are showing up as your authentic, beautiful self, you are so magnetic that people and opportunities are drawn to you. When that happens, then you use your sacral response and listen to it, and it's going to respond with a yes or a no. This is very important because it'll tell you if you have the energy for that thing or not. Each type also has a strategy attached to it that I'll go over. The strategy for generators is to respond. So as long as you are following the response of your sacral, it will keep you in alignment of where your soul's path is meant to go. The thing I've noticed with generators is that you tend to not listen to that sometimes. This is partly because of conditioning, because when you can just know stuff inside of you, like you're a kid and you just don't want to do something, mom and dad might not really like that and they might tell you that you got to do it anyway. So that can be part of how it's conditioned out of you. Also, it doesn't always make sense, right? It's a sacral response. It's an intuition-based knowing. And so sometimes, say a person comes and asks you if you can help move and your sacral says no, but you love that person and you want to help that person. And so your mind is like, well, I mean, you don't want to be a bad friend. You better go do that thing. But then you end up kind of angry and exhausted because it turned out to not be good. Every generator I know has a moment where they can look back and realize that their sacral was saying no, but they did it anyway, and that it ended up not being great. So the hard thing here can be for you to learn to listen to that sacral, even when it doesn't make sense. I would argue especially when it doesn't make sense. This is important for you to keep your magnetism as a generator. Next is manifesting generators. You are a combination of the generator and the manifestor, just like in the name. So you are here to really be lit up by life as well. The fun thing about Mani-Gens is that you're here to really explore. So on the outside, people might think that you're kind of flaky or non-committal, but really it's just you are diving in to life and figuring out what you love and what works and what doesn't work, and you're just taking wisdom from every experience that you do. So the important thing to know is that if you are trying different things and you get to this point where it's just not working and then you want to try something else, that's totally fine. That's what you're meant to do. Don't let anybody outside of you shame you for that, okay? So the strategy for Mani-Gens is to respond and inform. You have that sacral as well. So it's very important that you listen to that sacral response. Just like the generators, this will guide you to where you want to go, okay? And the informing part is important because, like I said, you have so much energy and so much passion and so much interest that you move so fast, and you might just go over there and decide, this is what's happening now, we're going over here. I got it, we can do it, let's do it, let's go. And then people are like, wait, what are you doing? I don't understand. I thought we were going over there. So they'll be super confused, right? So the informing is in no way asking permission. It's just keeping the peace around you. Plus, with you moving so quickly, when you inform, then someone might be able to help you to notice some of the steps that you might skip on your own. It's just a good cohesive thing, okay? So next is the projectors. We're 20% of the population. We do not have the sacral, so we don't have quite as much energy. Our gift is in our wisdom, in our point of view, in our guidance, not so much in our work. So with projectors, we have this kind of penetrating aura where we can really see into people and we can see into systems and we can see what's not working. The strategy for projectors is to wait to be recognized and wait for the invitation. So the waiting part is kind of a confusing verbiage, but here's what it is. As a projector, like I said, you have this penetrating aura where you're able to see into people and into situations. How many of you have given unsolicited advice to some of these situations or people and they got mad at you? That's where the invitation is so important. It's not so much a specific invitation. People aren't like, hey, Rebecca, so I really want your opinion on this. So can you tell me? Like, that rarely happens, right? But it can be an energetic invitation as well, where you know that it's safe to share your wisdom with somebody. So the invitation comes in various forms, and it's important to know that you don't need to share your wisdom until you get that invitation. And this is, again, one, because it's great for your relationships. If you're giving unsolicited advice, it's going to shut people down. And two, this tells you where you have the energy to share your wisdom. This is the universe's way of protecting you and guiding you to where you are meant to share your specific sense of wisdom. If you don't have an invitation somewhere and you're really fighting to get your voice heard, you're not meant to be in that place. That's not an invitation to be there. So it's really important to know that. Next, goodness, we have the manifestor. The manifestor is about 9% of the population. Now, y'all are the only type who's meant to initiate anything. You are the ones that have the vision and say, this is what we're doing, we're going there, and then you go off and do it. Your strategy is to inform, just like the Mani-Gens. This is very important because y'all are very independent. You also have a fairly closed aura because you're meant to really initiate, to go out and do things, right? And so I kind of think of it as like a drill, like you're drilling new paths. And that's important for us, for the rest of us on society, where this is how new amazing things are made, right? But when you just go off and do things, it kind of freaks the people out around here because we don't understand what's happening. So just informing is, again, no way asking permission, because manifestors are fairly independent and don't want to be told what to do at all. So you're not asking for permission or asking if it's okay that you do this thing. You're more just saying, hey, I'm going over here. This is the vision I have. If you want to come with me, great. If not, fine. This is where I'm going. It just helps the people around you to know what's going on and to not want to control you as much. this can be a real shadow for manifestors as kids, because they just go off and do things and the parents freak out, right, and try to suppress that in them. So that can be a real shadow for the manifestors. Just inform the people around you and it'll calm down a whole bunch of stuff. You don't have to stop doing what you're doing. Just let us know. So next is the reflectors. You beautiful reflectors are only 1% of the population. This is because you are completely open. Your whole chart is white and undefined. You are taking in all the energy around you. It's very important for us to have you, because you are like our thermometers. You tell us if things are going okay or if they're not. And so it's so important and it's so beautiful, but it's kind of exhausting for you. There's a lot to happen for you. You're taking on a lot of energy. Reflectors do have a fairly repelling aura though, or like a protective aura, I should say. Better than, that's not so much repelling, but just more protective, because you do have all the undefined and open centers. So that aura protects you on some level from taking it all in. So the strategy for reflectors is to wait 28 days. This sounds exhausting, but it's really because you are taking in everything from your environment. It takes a while to really understand what it is that you want. A way to help with this is to have some safe people around you where you can talk out loud as a sounding board. Not necessarily that you're asking for advice or that you need input. It's just that you need to talk out loud about what's going on. That can help give you some guidance of what you want. So the waiting 28 days, I mean, it's not like you have to wait 28 days to decide what you want for lunch today. You know, it's just big decisions, like where you want to live. And maybe sometimes with a job too, you know, it could be that you get a job and then within that 28 days, you realize that it's just not working for you. And that's fine. It just, you know, dig into it, give it that time and understand what it is you want, what you don't want. So those are the major types. We also have different kinds of authorities. There's about 8 different kinds. And so when we combine our strategy and our authority, that's how we keep you on the right track. I have a course, a free course on my website for the authorities. So I'll just direct you there so that I keep this video at a decent pace, because I have a time limit. And if you're wanting to go deeper in that, I have all the information there with videos and meditations and journal prompts and all kinds of goodness, so you can get in touch with your authority. But for an example, there's people with sacral authority. They would only be generators or manifesting generators. That sacral is responding. And so your whole thing would be to respond, because generators and mani-gens are meant to respond inside of their strategy. But if their authority is also sacral and they're responding, then 100% listen to your sacral for everything. And then there's emotional. So if you're an emotional manifesting generator, then you have that initial sacral response, which is great, but you need to wait the emotional cycle before you make a commitment, because the emotions go on a wave. If you make a decision on a high or a low, then it's just not going to work out for you. You need to buy yourself some time, make a decision in the middle. Again, there's splenic. Splenic answers in the moment. It says yes or no really quietly. It's kind of a little hit of intuition that lets you know what is correct for you and what is not. There is ego, manifestor, and ego projector. You're here to really just live your heart's desire. You're here to do what you want. Do what you want. That's it. There's self-projected projector. Your throat is connected to your identity center, and you are just, you figure out what you want by talking out loud. It's like, you don't even need anybody listening to you. You're just talking because that identity center is connected to your throat. It's like it comes out of your throat, and that's how you know what you want. The mental projector has the mind or crown connected to the throat. No, it's either the mind connected to the throat or the crown and mind connected together. And you need to talk out loud in different environments to understand what you want, because we don't have anything down here defined. So we don't have any consistent access to our gut response or to our intuition. And so by talking out loud in safe sounding board areas, then we can understand what it is we want. That's how we get to know what's happening inside of our own bodies. It's like the words are what change the atoms. It's pretty crazy. But if your authority says none or environmental, you're a mental projector. And so it's important to look into that. So when you combine the strategy and authority, that's how you stay in alignment of where you are meant to be and where your soul is wanting to go in this lifetime. Nowhere nowhere does it say that we are meant to make decisions in our mind. That's what we tend to do, especially in our society, where it's, make a logical decision and all this stuff, make a pro-con list or whatever. I got to think about it. No, thinking about it isn't going to help. Listen to your strategy and authority and go with that always. If you find yourself overanalyzing a decision, just know that you're inside of your shadow self and you're about to get yourself off track. So just take it away from the mind, give the power back to your strategy and authority, and go from there. So the last thing to talk about is, you can see, I want to show you this chart. This is what the chart looks like that you'll get when you input your birth information. So when you see these centers that have colors in, those are the defined centers. That's where you have the consistent access to those centers inside of yourself. So you're the one that's really projecting the energy out into the field when you have that defined. There's a shadow side and a light side to every single center. When it's defined, there's less of a chance you encounter the shadow side, but it's always still possible for sure. It just depends on how you grew up. With it undefined, you can see like here, a white center with a gate coming out here and here. Those are undefined because the center itself is not defined, but it has some definition with the gates coming out of it. The gates will give clues to the strengths of you specifically inside of that center. With the undefined and with the open, which you can see here, this is the heart center. It has no gates connected to it. It's completely white and all the lines are white. That's completely open. So with the undefined and open centers, you are the most susceptible to conditioning in those areas. So this is where the chart is really great, when you can look at it and see where you're open and understand where you had the most opportunity to take in conditioning from your environment as a child. The beautiful thing about these undefined open centers is that you are also here to be incredibly wise in those areas. It's like you're taking in all the information from all around you so that you can sample it all, so that you can understand it on such a deep level. So just like with the defined centers, when you're projecting out the energy of it, because you have the consistent access to energy, with the undefined centers, you're taking in the energy around you. So let's just say with the crown center, we'll start at top. If you have an undefined crown center, then you're here to take in all the inspiration. And if somebody next to you has a defined crown center, you could essentially read their mind if you're in a good alignment with your energy, for sure. So each center is connected to a chakra. Now there's 9 centers, there's 7 chakras. So they're all fairly similar, but there's some split off. We start at the crown, it's the center of inspiration. And then the next one is the mind, this is the center of ideas. In the chakra system, it's switched for some reason. Human design is opposite. I'm not sure why. Doesn't matter. Next we have the throat, going down just like we do on the chakras. But the next one would be the heart chakra, right? But the heart center is this little triangle over here. And so this one, this big diamond under the throat, is the G center, or the identity center. This is actually split off from the heart center. So the heart chakra split into 2 because it's so powerful. The identity center is our home of our soul. It's the seat of love in human design chart. And the heart center is the home of our willpower and our heart's desires. We have the sacral center here. This is the one we talked about. That's our gut intuition. This is our root center. And so you might know we skipped the solar plexus. The solar plexus is over here. Nope. The solar plexus is over here. I'm backwards looking at the camera. Sorry. It's behind or below the heart. The solar plexus is the home of the emotions here. And then over here is the spleen. The spleen is an offshoot of the root center, of the root chakra. So the spleen is the home of our intuition. So when you look at these, this gives you your inherent strengths, your inherent places that you might be most prone to conditioning. And then when you look on the sides here, You might notice these from astrology. These are the planet placements of where you are, the sun, the earth, the moon, north node, south node, and so on. So then each one is connected to a gate that's inside of the chart here. And that gives you deeper insight into your chart. And then it goes even deeper than that, y'all. It's intense. It's, like even to the point that our DNA has 64 codons. And then the I Ching system that's connected has 64 hexagrams on the human design chart. So you can even connect the gates to what codons you have in your DNA. So as you can see, there is so much to embrace inside of this chart, and there's so much beauty, and it can give you an incredible amount of insight into yourself and into your loved ones. And if you dive into this, it can just be such a great place to really feel your heart, because when you look at some of the centers and realize where some of the conditioning could have happened, and then you identify those things, and it gives you such permission, because it's saying you're not wrong for being empathic. Like you're not wrong. You didn't come broken. You came specifically to be empathic, as an example. It just verifies everything that you already knew about yourself. And that is so beautiful, because it leads to so much self-forgiveness, which leads to so much self-love, which just leads you again to filling your heart. Whew. Okay. I really, I just want to thank you so much for spending this time with me, for letting me share this beautiful system with you. I'm so excited and blessed and honored. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I would love to chat about it. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at the Full Heart Coach. So I would love to chat with you, and you'll have a blessed, beautiful day.